Okay, so we're going to cover the worst Ultimate Marvel team up book. Issue number 9. This one sucks, guys. Okay, so if you're new to my channel or you're new to Ultimate Marvel and you're probably wondering why in the world I just say Ultimate Marvel Team Up number 9 is the worst book of Ultimate Marvel Team Up, well, let me explain. So, Ultimate Marvel Team Up came after the first 2 story arcs of Ultimate Spider-Man. Well, some of the books came after the first story arc and some came after the second story arc. Either way, when it came to Ultimate Marvel Team Up, it was a way for us to kind of explore the Ultimate Marvel universe. And so you have Spider-Man, who was the first character created in this universe, being used as a way to meet other characters in this brand new universe in the early 2000s. And so Spider-Man met Wolverine, Iron Man, also the Punisher, Daredevil, and the Hulk. Now, when it came to issue number 9, this was Spider-Man meeting the Fantastic Four, and we were left to believe that this was originally canon, except a few years later, well, Marvel gave us the Ultimate Fantastic Four series to go alongside with Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, and also the Ultimates. And when the Ultimate Fantastic Four book launched in the year, I want to say 2004, I could be wrong, either way, when that book launched, you had Marvel come out and say, oh yeah, by the way, issue number 9 of Ultimate Marvel Team Up is no longer canon, because a lot of things were changed when it came to this Fantastic Four group than the one we got a few years later in the Fantastic Four book that launched by Marvel Comics. So yeah, this book was already put out of canon, but on top of that, this story is completely trash. Completely trash, y'all. Getting into today's story arc, we do pick up with Peter Parker being confronted by Herbie. Now, Herbie is the robot that currently helps the Fantastic Four run the Baxter building while they are away on different kinds of adventures. Now, when it comes to Peter Parker, the reason why he's at the Baxter building because he was chosen for a career shadowing event, meaning that he is able to actually follow Reed Richards around for the day to kind of learn what it's like to be Reed Richards. Now, with that being said, when it comes to Herbie, he does tell Peter Parker that you have to follow certain kinds of instructions, certain kind of rules we have at the Baxter building. Like, for example, you must stay on the path I give you. Follow the red line, because if you go off the red line, it could most likely get you in trouble in some kind of way, because this is the Baxter building and we have a whole lot of crazy things that could sometimes kill you or just change you. Now, when it comes to Herbie, he did run a few tests on Peter Parker to make sure that he is safe to be in the Baxter building, but Herbie tells us that it knows that Peter Parker, 1, has powers, and 2, that he is Spider-Man. Either way, you have Herbie say you are allowed to go ahead and go inside the Baxter building. Now, once you have Peter Parker go inside the Baxter building, well, that is when he's confronted by Patsy Walker. Now, when it comes to Patsy Walker, she's better known as Hellcat in the main Marvel universe. Matter of fact, in the Ultimate Marvel universe, she also becomes Hellcat as well. Now, here's the thing though, because like I said earlier, this book is totally not canon. And so this Patsy Walker is not the one we got later on in the Ultimate Spider-Man book. Matter of fact, when it came to Brian Michael Bendis, he would use Patsy Walker in Ultimate Spider-Man number 11 as one of the many characters who are technically a joke. And then later on, she'll be used as a bad guy in one of the Ultimates book. And so this is just another example of this book not being canon. But right now you have Patsy Walker telling Peter Parker the origin of the Fantastic Four in this supposed book. Now, when it comes to the origin of the Fantastic Four in this story, we kind of find out that 1, Reed Richards is very similar to his main Marvel Universe counterpart. Matter of fact, he's older, just like the main Marvel Universe counterpart he has. And that was another part that was changed once Marvel did launch Ultimate Fantastic Four, because in that actual series, the Fantastic Four were a whole lot younger, but in this book right here, they are a whole lot older. On top of that, we are left to believe that they were the first superhero team in the Ultimate Marvel Universe, the first family, just like in the main Marvel Universe, except that is not true, because as we know, this story is not canon. Now, when it comes to them getting their powers, they got their powers from the negative zone. Now, technically, Brian Michael Bendis would use this again in the Ultimate Fantastic Four book to kind of explain how they got their powers in that series right there. But in this book right here, we are told that the Fantastic Four went into the negative zone to explore it. Now, while being inside there, they have saw all different kinds of creatures. But because they were in there for so long, it changed them. Of course, it gave them their powers. So you had Reed Richards becoming Mr. Fantastic. Johnny Storm became the Human Torch. Susan Storm became the Invisible Woman. And Ben Grimm became the Thing. But once they came out of the negative zone, they became the Fantastic Four. And they're well known for stopping different kinds of bad guys across the Ultimate Marvel Universe. So for example, they stopped Doctor Doom as well. But like I said, this story is not canon, and so this Doctor Doom does not count at all. Now, once Peter Parker is able to meet the Fantastic Four, he's trying to have a conversation with them. But unfortunately, they are not listening. And the reason why? Because Reed Richards and the rest of his team is trying to fix his coffee machine, the one he made. And the thing is, while you have him trying to fix it, you have his wife, Susan, trying to tell him, dude, just go to Walmart and buy a cheap one for like $10. But of course, this is Reed. He does everything extra level. And so this man is trying his best to basically fix his super advanced coffee machine. Now, when it comes to Peter Parker, he's trying his best to introduce himself, but like I said earlier, they are not listening, to the point where the alarms go off and you have the team leave to handle that situation somewhere in the city. But on their way out, they believe that Peter Parker is an intern. And so, of course, they give him a task to do, which is, hey, go to Starbucks and go buy us coffee. By the time we get back here, you should also be back here as well. And the thing is, Peter Parker is not an intern. He is here to shadow Reed Richards. But unfortunately, they leave and they give Peter money to go get the coffee for them. Now, y'all, let me tell y'all, this is where the story goes a tad bit, not a tad bit, it goes completely bonkers. You can tell Brian Michael Bendis was not trying at all when it came to this book here. Because then you have Peter Parker being very upset about the idea that, you know what, the Fantastic Four don't realize I'm not an intern. I'm here to career shadow. And so while he's all mad and everything, he goes off the path that Herbie had put him on, and he finds the portal that leads into the negative zone. And once he does open up the portal, we kind of find out that inside the negative zone, it is technically the home of the Skrulls of the Ultimate Marvel Universe. Now, like I said, this story is not canon. As a matter of fact, we'll meet the Skrulls again down the road in a later book. Either way though, when it comes to Peter Parker opening up this portal, a bunch of Skrulls come out of it and they begin to wreak havoc across the city because they're looking for Reed Richards. And so you have Peter Parker change into his Spider-Man outfit to hopefully stop the Skrulls. And so you have Peter Parker fighting against the Skrulls all over the city, to the point where they start fighting in Marvel Comics' office. Yes, you heard that right. The office of Marvel Comics. So you have different writers and editors just hanging out in their office while Spider-Man is fighting against the Skrulls. And these are real people who are working on this book or other books at the time at Marvel Comics. Either way, it's Peter Parker just fighting in the office of Marvel Comics for the heck of it. This is why I say it's literally one of the worst, no, not one of, it is the worst Ultimate Marvel team up book, because it gets even crazier. because you can tell that Brian Michael Bendis had no idea what he wanted to do with this particular story. And what I mean by that is because he realized it's time for him to go ahead and wrap this book up. And so out of nowhere, you have the Fantastic Four appear. Now, when they do appear, you have Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four use a gun that can technically teleport the Skrulls back into the negative zone. Now, once he does that, he begins to lecture Peter Parker. He's all like, hey man, listen, we already know that you're Spider-Man, but on top of that, we already know it's your fault the Skrulls got out. So hey, listen, next time, be more careful. And I'm kind of like, what in the world is going on in this book? And the book really ends on that note right there. Yeah. And then years later, we get the actual proper Ultimate Fantastic Four team, which still sucked, but better than this stuff right here. So that's why I said this is the worst Ultimate Marvel team-up book. It really felt like Bendis was told to kind of just put a story together because they needed one, and he's all like, fine, here you go. They're all like, oh, perfect, cool, and they actually ran it. Man, it sucks. Either way, guys, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.